regularly scheduled meeting of the Beloit City Council. It is now 7 p.m. here at 100 State Street, Beloit, Wisconsin, and Tuesday, September 3rd. Roll call.
Roll call shows all councilors present.
Second item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 would be special orders of the day and announcements. There are none, so we'll move on to item 4, public hearings. And we have item 4A.
A resolution authorizing a planned unit development master land use plan for the property located at 1877 Madison Road, the Woodman's Food Markets, Inc. The Plan Commission recommended approval 4-0.
Mrs. Christensen.
This parcel includes the Woodman's grocery store and parking lot, a massive warehouse complex, a small gas station with a quick lube and car wash services. They have constructed a 32,639 square foot warehouse addition in 2011, and they're currently constructing a 91,546 square foot warehouse addition. Their current project involves the demolition of the existing gas station, car wash, quick lube facility, demolition of an existing 34,000 square foot warehouse, and the construction of a new gas station, car wash, quick lube facility at the southern end of the property near the intersection of Madison Road and Woodman Lane. Since they want to do all of these business buildings on one site, it does require the approval of a PUD master land use plan, and also then the rezoning to planned unit development district, and then the submittal of detailed site and architectural drawings. The improvements include a 3,150 square foot convenience store with 3 quick lube bays, a new canopy over 5 dual gasoline and diesel pumps, a 2,112 square foot automatic drive-through car wash with 2 bays, and all drive-through uses require a conditional use permit, but we're just kind of wrapping it in with this PUD to avoid one more application. What this will do for them is it will move their gas station so it's more near the main entrance to Woodman's instead of off of Burton Street, so more towards the commercial, away from the residential, which we think is a positive thing for the neighborhood itself. And so we're real supportive of this request. Plan Commission did hold a public hearing at their last meeting and did recommend approval subject to the conditions which are listed in the resolution, which is that this approval authorizes the construction of a detached 3,150 square foot convenience store with 3 quick lube bays, a new canopy over 5 dual gasoline and diesel pumps, and a detached 2,112 square foot automatic drive-through car wash with 2 bays on the Woodman's property located at 1877 Madison Road. These improvements may be located on the same zoning lot tax parcel as existing grocery store and warehouses. The proposed drive-through car wash is hereby approved, and a separate conditional use permit is not required. For allowable use and dimensional standard purposes, the regulations applicable in the C3 Community Commercial District shall apply to the subject property. For outdoor sign purposes, the regulations applicable in the C3 district shall apply. All of the recently approved conditional use permits for the property and the conditions imposed thereon shall remain in full force and effect. The final site plan shall include, and the applicant shall construct, a new sidewalk that will connect the new convenience store to the public sidewalk along the north side of Madison Road, and the applicant shall provide a bike rack near the new convenience store that can accommodate at least 4 bicycles. We had noticed on a number of occasions when we were shopping there, all of us staff, that there are a number of people who walk and especially push strollers, and we feel that adding that sidewalk element is important. Full-scale vehicle repair as defined in the zoning ordinance is prohibited. Prior to the issuance of a building permit for this project, the applicant shall rezone the subject property to PUD and submit detailed site and architectural plans for planning staff review and approval, and then just our standard condition about any major changes coming back through this public process and minor changes being able to be approved administratively. And a notice did go out to the neighboring property owners. None of them came forward. We did hear from a resident at the meeting who expressed concern with the addition of sidewalks and bike racks, and that we are driving jobs out of our community by making those requirements on businesses. So I just wanted to share that since that did happen at Plan Commission. And Plan Commission did recommend approval 4-0.
Thank you.
For approval.
Oh, let's go ahead and open the public hearing, Dave. All right, so I'd like to open the public hearing on item 4A. Any persons wishing to come forward and speak on item 4A, please approach the podium, state your name and address.
My name is Gary Fox. I'm with Building Systems General. I'm the construction manager for Woodman's Food. I'm here tonight to answer any questions that you may have about the project. Other than that, I don't have anything else to add to what's already been described.
Thank you, sir. Second call for persons to come forward and speak on item 4A. Third and final call for persons to come forward and speak on item 4A. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing on item 4A and entertain a motion.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Moved by Lukey, second by DeForest. Do we have any questions or comments? Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. I would like to make a comment. I'd like to thank the staff for being sensitive to the high pedestrian traffic that is in that area. It's certainly, I've witnessed that myself, so thank you for being sensitive to that, including the sidewalks and the bike racks, so. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Item 5 is citizens' participation. We've reached the point on the agenda for citizens to speak to the council about issues that are coming before us or may become before us in the future. Council members may not act on any requests at this meeting, but may refer the speaker to staff for assistance. We ask you to hold your comments to 3 minutes or less and refrain from personal attacks of any kind. I have no notices, so is there any individuals that wish to come forward and speak? Please state your names and address.
Hi, my name is Jamie Gaffke, and this is my wife Ruth Vader, and we live at 719 Bushnell Street. And we're here to talk to you tonight about issue 11A coming up, benefits for employees in same-sex relationships who meet eligibility requirements. And as Ruth and I were talking about this, we kind of looked back in our employment history, and we both realized that since we've entered the professional world, all 5 of the positions we've held, our employers have offered same-sex domestic benefit partner or domestic partner benefits. And that's something that we're really proud of. It's not the reason we necessarily chose an employer. Some of those were before we were even together or in need of same-sex domestic partner benefits. But we were really proud to work for organizations who considered all of their employees to be assets and who recognized that they all brought something to the table and should all be awarded the same benefits for doing hard work and for bringing important benefits to their community.
Thank you very much. I just add that I don't really think this is actually very much of a same-sex issue at all, but really one of competitiveness for the city. I was just hiring a director of accounting for my own employer, and we decided we really wanted to hire this candidate, so we took the candidate down to the 615 Club and tried to woo her with a proper supper club dinner. She was coming from Pennsylvania, and so about halfway through dinner she said, "I read all of the health insurance policies and I was surprised that you offer same-sex domestic partner benefits." And I was sort of taken aback, sort of affronted. I thought, well, is she sort of stating that this is a really liberal place? And then I just realized she had these really preconceived notions of what Midwesterners are, and she was surprised that in a state that had voted for a constitutional ban on same-sex marriage that we would offer those benefits. And it's really a competitiveness issue. We want the best people to apply for all the jobs in Beloit. And so as a taxpayer and a voter, I would just urge you to vote unanimously in favor of 11A. I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other persons wishing to come forward and speak under item 5, citizens' participation? Second call for persons to come forward and speak under citizens' participation. Third and final call for persons to come forward and speak under citizens' participation. I'll close the citizens' participation portion of the agenda and we'll move on to the consent agenda. Item 6. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda. Do we have any items wishing to be removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, the consent agenda. Oh, you do. Oh, sorry about that, Sheila. I missed you.
Need to be taken off.
Okay, go ahead. What would you like to remove?
Item 6C, please.
Okie dokie. All right, so the item we will,
And 6A.
and 6A. The issue has been resolved with 6A. Do you still
Oh,
want to
was
pull
it?
it?
Okay, then.
Okay, we'll withdraw that. Okay. So we'll do, the consent agenda will consist of items 6A, 6B, 6D, and 6E. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by DeForest.
Second.
And second by Kincaid. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda passes 7-0. Item 6C.
An application for an architectural review exception to Section 34.15, Sub 1 of the Architectural Review and Landscape Code to allow the installation of metal siding on a commercial building in a C2 Neighborhood Commercial District for the property located at 105 Dearborn Street.
I could just ask my question if you're
Sure,
there, Mr.
go
President.
ahead.
I see this is just a refer to plan, but I just wanted to give Ms. Christensen the heads up. When you bring this back to us, could you bring us back a history of these type of applications for exceptions that have been granted or denied before related to using metal siding on buildings? That would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Is that all that you were looking for?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you, Mrs. Christian.
I'm the next item, so I was just
Oh, you're
staying
there?
here.
Okay, that'll be fine then. Do we have a motion to approve item 6C?
Move approval.
Moved by Spreitzer. Second. Second by Van de Bogart. All in favor of approving 6C, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. On to item 7A, ordinances.
A proposed ordinance to amend various sections of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit pertaining to the name change of the Equal Opportunities and Human Relations Commission.
Mrs. Christensen.
The name Equal Opportunities and Human Relations Commission is quite the mouthful, and is a result of combining two previous commissions, the Human Relations Commission, which provided protections regarding employment discrimination, and the Equal Opportunities Commission, which provided protections regarding fair housing issues. They were combined together in December 2000, following a strategic retreat with the two commissions, and the consensus was to merge at that time. What we're finding in the 13 years since is that no one knows what an EOHRC is. Many people don't get all the letters together in the correct order, and it's confusing to the public, to city staff, to the commissions themselves. Most people know what an Equal Opportunities Commission is and what they do. It's commonly used, through everywhere. And so essentially what the board recommended is that it be changed back to just EOC, to make it a lot easier for the people who are filing fair housing complaints and for people who want to be involved and come to meetings so they understand kind of what the commission does. And so Deputy Attorney Krieger put together, I believe it was her, that put together this ordinance, which would essentially take off the and human relations in all sections of the code where the EOHRC was noted. And they did review this at their last meeting and did recommend approval.
Thank you.
Move that we suspend the rules and for action on the merits later this evening, Mr. President.
We have a motion by Van de Bogart, and second by Lubke for suspending the rules. Do we have any questions on suspending the rules? Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We've suspended the rules by a vote of 7-0. Do we have a motion on the merits?
Move approval. Second.
Okay, moved by Levy and second by Spreitzer. Councilor Levy.
Just a quick question, it's related to this group, but we used to get reports on the fair housing complaints or whatever. Could we see somewhere down the road that if we get that report again, I think at one time you used to report out how many complaints we had or what we were doing.
Do you want a written report, or do you want to have
Doesn't-
Terry come to the meeting?
It doesn't matter. I'll leave that between you and the city manager and the president. It doesn't matter. I just know we used to get those every once in a while, and I'd just like to review those and see where we're at.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Counselor DeForest.
Thank you. I'm wondering if the commission has any plans to try to help promote to the community the nature of the commission and what it's charged with, so people can be more aware of how they can turn to them as a resource if they feel they've been discriminated against.
They did apply for CDBG funds last year, and they had a fair housing intern this summer
Okay.
who did some outreach and education, updated our brochures, updated our website, did a lot of different pieces over the summer. It is something that the board does discuss, coming up with new ideas. They are looking at doing a mock trial again next year for Fair Housing Month.
Okay.
So it is something that they actively discuss at their meetings on how to get the word out on fair housing.
Great, thank you.
Counselor Vandenbogar.
I can update my fellow counselors. Last week, we had a presentation by the individuals asking for a contribution or donation for the CDBG funds of $15,000. It hasn't been reviewed by the whole Community Development Authority, but a recommendation will be forthcoming to this body sometime this fall, and it does include some funds. I'm assuming it will include some funds for the fair housing concept.
Any other questions or comments? All right, then. I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Item 8 is appointments. We have none. So counselor upcoming events and activities is number 9. We will start with, let's start at the other end. Let's start with Jim.
Too many activities to report on, Mr. President. There's just a plethora of activities in the state line area. This last weekend coming up, certainly Heritage Days among them, all sorts of things. Get out and enjoy the weather before it starts to change.
Counselor Forrest.
Thank you. There's 2 items I'd like to make sure I bring to residents' attention. One is tomorrow there will be a public information meeting about development along Collie and Willowbrook Road. That will be held from 5 to 7 in the evening tomorrow at 2400 Springbrook, the City Engineering Building. We'd like to get your input on development on that corridor. So please consider attending. You can always submit written feedback or comments if you're not able to attend. And then the other event I wanted to make sure I showcased, I'm proud of because it's a collaboration of a handful of sponsors in the community working together to bring this to pass. It's called the Good to Great Activate Family Festival. I think this is the 3rd year. And it's a festival to really promote healthy living, promote people to get out walking and biking, and be more active and physically active in the community. I'm really proud as a city that we've worked hard to make our city more pedestrian and bike friendly. And this is a partnership of the School District of Beloit, Aramark, UW Extension, YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, and some businesses that have pulled together to really encourage our residents to get out and use their feet or their bike and to be active. That is going to be held September 14th. It starts at 9:30 in the morning, and it should be a great event. I will be there with my walking shoes. So maybe Kevin will be there with his bike. Thank you.
Councilor Lubke.
Just want to remind everybody that school is back in session as of today, and just got a lot of kids going to a lot of different schools and campuses, so just drive carefully in the morning and evening. Well, actually all day. We've got kids walking all day. We got a lot going on in the community this weekend, as other counselors have said, with Heritage Days, but also at the Beloit Historical Society on Saturday from 11 to 4, we're going to have a Dryans Old-Fashioned Ice Cream Day and featuring Blue Moon ice cream. So everybody should be there for their ice cream. The Beloit Historical Society has actually saved the sign that was at dry-ins, this big 25-foot metal sign. So we'll get that out for Saturday, and with the blue moon, I know Kevin asked for that, so we'll get him some, couple of, Saturday from 11 to 4. And then on Sunday at the Hanchett Bartlett on St. Lawrence, we'll have an old-fashioned picnic from 11 to 4. So 2 days in a row. After you go to the farmer's market, the second largest farmer's market in Wisconsin, on Saturday morning, and buy all your goodies, you can get some ice cream, and then by the time Sunday comes around, you're hungry again, so you got a lot of activities. That's it for me.
Councilor Kincaid.
I have nothing to report this week.
Councilor Levy.
Great, you really want to go here, huh? And is it everyone's night to just pick on me this evening? I'm just checking, Mr. President.
It was your time.
Oh, it was my time? Well, I don't have a whole lot to report, but I will say on Saturday I saw Councilor DeForest walking into a grocery store, so she was not on her bike. But I will say yesterday that about 4 o'clock in the evening, I was actually out on my bike riding. So I just wanted to just throw that out to you, Sheila, that I'm riding and you're walking now. So I think the tables are turned. So just thought I'll throw that back out at you. So thank you.
And Councilor Spitzer.
Well, the rain on Friday night put a little bit of a damper on it, but I got to participate in an event in partnership with Beloit College and Friends of the Riverfront to bring the students, especially the new students, down to the riverfront for music and more, and also a lighted boat parade. So we handed out some custard and got people down there a bit before the rain, so it was a good chance to introduce the students to the riverfront and other parts of the community.
Thank you. And I have really nothing to add to all of this wonderfulness tonight. So on to, number 10, City Manager's presentation. There is not one tonight, so we'll move on to item 11A.
A resolution approving benefits for employees in same-sex relationships who meet eligibility requirements.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a bit of an honor, I think, to bring before you this evening this particular matter that relates both, I think, to equal treatment, equality, as well as good business practice. This particular policy change would authorize the city, allow the city to offer the same benefits to same-sex couples as the city currently offers to its married city employees. I think all of you are aware that in Wisconsin there is a constitutional amendment that prohibits same-sex marriage or unions, and it also prohibits the state from and its political subdivisions from recognizing same-sex unions that are authorized in other states. So same-sex couples coming to the state of Wisconsin or those already here must apply and be accepted by the state registry in order to have their relationship codified to the extent that our current Constitution will allow. I think, as I commented earlier to councilors, this is one of those issues I believe whose time has arrived. There are already 2 other cities in our county that have approved this policy, the state of Wisconsin, a number of other political subdivisions, and many private businesses. And most of those approve this because simply it's good business practice. The last thing we would want to do is have an issue of this nature influence a highly qualified candidate and possibly cause that person to go elsewhere. As we've discussed previously, or to reject a position with the city, decline it, and accept employment somewhere else. As we've discussed previously, the primary impact here, if any, would be in our group health insurance program. There are also some sick leave and funeral leave benefits and a couple of other places in our personnel policies that provide benefits for spouses or for dependents that would also be impacted. But the big impact would, of course, be on participation in the group health insurance program. I also want to mention that the decision is somewhat symbolic at this time, since there are no city employees that are on the state registry at this time. I also cannot tell you if there are any employees that are not on the registry that may sign up or may have a relationship codified on the registry as a result of this change in benefits. So it's very difficult to tell you whether there will be any immediate impact and therefore any immediate cost of making this change. I think, again, this is good business, and from an equality of treatment perspective, it's something that the city will need to deal with. We didn't do it last year. If we don't do it this year, most certainly it'll be back again next year, and at some point we're going to want to take care of this matter. You read in the paper every day where another federal agency or a court ruling has come out, social mores or attitudes toward same-sex relationships have changed dramatically, even in the last 3 to 5 years. And again, this is something now that's becoming very mainstream and something that we need to take care of, again, to make sure that it doesn't adversely impact our ability to recruit a qualified candidate at some point in time. And that is the reason, Mr. President, that the city's management is recommending that council authorize us to modify our policies in this way at this time. With that, I'll conclude my formal comments. If there are any questions of me or any other issues you'd like to discuss relative to the matter, I'll be happy to do that.
Right, do we have a motion to open the floor?
Motion approval.
Moved by Spreitzer, second by Lubke. Councilor Lubke.
I just heard today on the radio that the United States Army has just issued an order that all of its employees will get cards, domestic partners will get cards, so that's just another in a long line following the Supreme Court lead. I think besides being good business, which is very true as to what our city manager said, I think the most important thing, though, is we're talking about fairness, and I'll just leave it at that. It's the fair and right thing to do. It's all there is to it. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Have any other questions or comments? Councilor Spreitzer.
I don't have a lot to add. I think the substantive points have largely been made, but I just wanted to say I'm glad that we're doing this. I'm glad to have the opportunity to vote to do this because I think it is the fair and equal thing to do. And I did want to just mention that I have heard privately from a couple of city employees, not anyone who's in a position to take advantage of this, but just people who are saying that they're glad that this is something that we're doing and think that it's something that they're glad that their employer will be offering if we approve this. And so I hope we will do this tonight. I think it would be great to have it be a unanimous vote, but I know everyone will vote what they feel is right to do. And I think the time has come, so I look forward to voting for this.
Thank you. Councilor Vanderbogaert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, intend to vote in the affirmative for this policy. I think it's a good policy in the sense of fairness and competitiveness. However, I would caution this group that this was not brought forward and developed through our normal public policy process. There was no group squawking about having chickens. There was no group fuming about smoking. There was no $600,000 a year that we saved by consolidating health care with the county. There was no consensus developed to move the library from downtown to the old mall. I would caution us against good social policy being brought forward in this fashion. We all can disagree, or would disagree, I assume, on a bunch of different policies that would make sense. Should we have an ordinance that requires all our restaurants to serve only sustainable fisheries, fish caught through sustainable fisheries? Should we have an ordinance to save the whales? Should we have a nuclear-free zone here in Beloit? Should we move to close the manufacturing loop between those that make the plastics and the things that fill our landfills and have to take them back? Should we bomb Libya or Syria? My point simply is the further and further we get into the social morass, the less credibility this outfit, this council has, our city government has, and we should really make sure that when we do that, we do it in an organized, consensus-building process and not through some sort of, gee, the 7 of us think it's a good idea, let's do it. But I will vote in favor of this.
Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. If I might say, I don't believe this resolution is some form of general social commentary on our part. This is an issue that directly affects our employees, the ones that we have been charged stewardship over, and certainly in our recruitment. Although I do agree that, in the past, been proud to be a part of a council that has listened to residents as they brought their concerns forward, and we've addressed those and grappled with those, that there are some issues that still are the right thing to do out of fairness, even if there's not a throng of people that bring it forward. We have talked about that there's, some real and legitimate fears and concerns with individuals being able to bring this issue forward. So I guess I would again just like to reiterate that this is an issue that does directly affect our employees. We're not commenting on Syria. We're commenting on the benefits we offer to our employees. And again, this is just the right thing to do for our employees. Thank you.
Councilor Levy.
Just a couple things, and I think I've been very vocal about this. I would like to echo some of the comments that Councilor Van der Bogaert did say, that there's really not, I heard no big push for this. And to his point, that usually when we bring policies, things forward, we're hearing an outcry of this is something that we think we should do, not only from the employees, but also from the citizens as well, which, to my knowledge, at least I have not heard any strong outcry from the community saying, hey, when are you guys going to take a look at this? And I truly understand what the city manager is saying, that somewhere down the road, this may come to us to deal with, but then again, it may not come to deal with it as well. So one of the reasons that I keep pushing back is saying, well, I haven't heard a cry out for it recently. I mean, lately or before this, I haven't heard anything. I have not heard it come up, as I said before, in negotiations. I have not heard it come up in my 12, 14 years on the council that this is something that the citizens are saying this is what we want. I'm still uncomfortable with it because we talk about the cost factor. We talk about that we don't know how much it's going to cost. We keep saying, well, it's not going to cost that much. Well, how do we know it's not going to cost that much if we don't know how many it's going to affect? We don't have people right now that's taking advantage of this, true, but once we pass this policy, will we see more people coming out to take advantage of it, and then we have to access the costs onto that. So, and then we talk about fairness. I want us to walk that line very, very cautiously, because I don't really think that even though we're passing this policy here, I'm sure that if we look at our organization, I'm sure that there's somebody out there could say, well, even though you guys passed this policy, I'm still not treated fairly. I'm not saying that that is the case, but it could be. So now are we saying that we are going to exhaust all of our options to look at the entire organization to say in what areas are we not treating people fairly, and go after those and make those, make us treat everybody the same? I mean, so walk that fairness line very cautiously, because I would hate for anybody to come forward and say, well, you passed this policy, but I still feel as though I'm not treated fairly. I struggle with this. I struggle with this because of the questions that I've asked, because of the response that I've gotten back. I just don't think that they're good enough answers right now to say let's move forward with unknown and unanswered questions. So that is the way that I feel, and I have not been shy about it. But I just wanted to get that out as we all talk about why we think it's a great policy. And so I wanted to go on record as to letting you know exactly how I felt about it as well. And when we call for the vote, Mr. President, if it's all right with you, I would like a roll call vote on this, please.
Certainly that's acceptable. Councilor Kincaid.
I'll be voting for this motion, for this, and it is the right thing to do. It's the right time to do it, and I think most of us are proud to vote for this because we're on the right side of history. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
Just a quick response, and please, Councilor Kincaid, do not take this as an attack towards you, because I don't mean it, but I want to make sure that the mere fact that I do not vote for this is not saying that I am not on the right side of history, that I have any arms against anyone, because that is not my intention. My intentions that I spoke here is simply because I have asked questions and I am not satisfied with the answers that I've gotten to my questions. That is the reason that I am voting against this policy, because I've asked questions and I am not satisfied with the response that I have gotten in answers to my questions, and that is the only reason that I will be voting against this.
Thank you. Councilor Kincaid, is there anything else that you wanted to add to your statement?
Only this, that we all can be respectful in the way that each of us votes. And I think, in my experience with the city council, that's the way we've operated, whether we were unanimous or not. And so I am respectful of those who don't agree with me, at least tonight.
Thank you. And that's generally how we've operated. There have been some strong feelings and various things that we've done in the past, and generally, this group that's down here has been very, very good at working together and shaking the dust off our feet when something happens we didn't particularly appreciate, and moving forward. And I'm proud to be among you. So I think that. Unless there's any other questions or comments, I think we'll move forward to the roll call vote.
Motion for approval.
We've already motion seconded. Yes, thank you.
Second.
It was. Okay.
Counselor DeForest?
Aye.
Counselor Kincaid?
Aye.
Counselor Spreitzer?
Aye.
President Haynes?
Aye.
Counselor Levy?
Nay.
Counselor Lupke?
Aye.
Counselor Van de Bogart?
Aye.
The motion carries by a vote of 6-1.
All right. Item 11B.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to appeal the Wisconsin Department of Revenue's assessment and determination of the relative value of taxable general property in the city of Beloit to the Tax Appeals Commission, and designating the city manager as the city council's official representative.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Director of Finance and I got quite a surprise on the 1st of August. Each year at that time, the Department of Revenue announces their preliminary numbers for equalized assessed value, which is the analysis of property values that's done by the state each year. And that's in addition to the assessment process that's done by the local unit of government. This year, the numbers for the city of Beloit showed a reduction of about 4% in value for our residential and for our industrial class of properties. That's a little bit higher than some of our neighboring communities in Rock County, and considerably higher than the statewide average. But again, in keeping with weaknesses in the real estate market, we didn't find it particularly disturbing. What was very disturbing, however, was the reduction in the commercial class of real estate, which the state showed dropping in value by a magnitude of 20% in a single year. Not only that, it was a single year that fell well after the Great Recession had ended, and at a time when the real estate market is showing not only renewed activity, but our main commercial districts, the highway service corridor out of Milwaukee and the downtown shopping district, are literally full. There's virtually no vacancies, and we've got new construction underway in both jurisdictions. The number simply didn't compute. We got a hold of our contract assessor. We were finally able to arrange a meeting. I believe it was on the 5th or early on the 6th of August, which was very near the deadline. Took one look at the numbers and immediately saw the problem. There was a very, very small sample, about 25 units that were submitted to the Department of Revenue. That's out of over 800 commercial properties in the city. There were only a couple of those that represented viable, usable commercial structures that were sold from one owner to another that could immediately be put in use for business purposes. There were a number of them that represented non-arm's length real estate transactions. In one case, an owner bought out a number of their partners in a condominiumized project. A couple of other cases were severely deteriorated properties, the most notable being the old Kmart building, which had sat vacant for over 12 years. That was finally sold, obviously at salvage value. It will take hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, ultimately to put that building back in use. And there were several others of a similar degree of deterioration that were included in those sales last year. Let me point out that was good news for the city, and it was great that people were picking up these properties. Some of them were coming directly out of foreclosure, with the banks selling them at salvage value. People invested a lot of money in some of these old buildings and have put some of them already back in use, so this was good news for the city. But the sample was way too small. It was nowhere close to being indicative of the true value of our properties. We hastily contacted the Department of Revenue, tried as best we could to refute and explain some of the statistics. Our assessor even did a stratification study, which is a way of explaining the peculiarities of some of these transactions and why they may not necessarily be representative of overall property values. Unfortunately, the agency took a very bureaucratic approach. We were chastised over timing and over not filing reports on their timelines when they thought they should be done. And the agency basically took a very, very hard line in imposing a number on the city that did not make sense based on the statistics, and further did not make sense based on simple logic or a look at property values in other communities in Rock County or around the state of Wisconsin. We had a closed session tonight with council to provide more information, more details about what happened here and some of the particular circumstances that went on surrounding this decision by the Department of Revenue. I think it is very, very unfortunate, and the city at this point now needs to take a very unusual step, and that is to appeal this equalized assessment number to the state of Wisconsin's Tax Appeals Commission. The city has an attorney in place, special counsel, that assists us with real estate tax matters. We've talked to that special counsel about this matter. They concur and agree that this is very, very unlikely that this would be a realistic outcome, that the statistics, there was an anomaly in the numbers, and that this should in fact be appealed and with every effort made to get it corrected. In the state statute, in order for a city to appeal an EAV number like this, it does require council authorization in the form of a resolution. So we're asking council tonight is to approve this resolution, authorizes to proceed with the appeal. We also have to bring in a new assessor that will be working in concert with special counsel. They'll be relooking at all of the sales transaction data from calendar year 2012, which formed the statistical basis for this determination, and giving us further advice. But council, special counsel has already indicated they believe that this is clearly an anomaly. This is an outlier, doesn't make sense. Wouldn't happen in a single year. Even during the depths of the Great Recession, we had no impact on property values like this. So clearly there was an error made here, and the only way to redress it is through the Tax Appeals Commission. So we're asking council tonight to adopt this resolution, allow us to move forward with the appeal.
Move approval of 11B, Mr. President.
Second.
Moved by Van Bogaert, second by Lubke. Let's open the floor. Councilor Van Bogaert.
I just wanted to make the motion, that's all.
Okay. Councilor DeForest.
Thank you. Just to honor transparency, I just wanted to make sure that the documents that are referenced that would be available for review at this meeting, are they available anywhere?
Yes, they're on the table. We've already given the media a set of the
Okay.
resolution and staff report.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none, I'll call the matter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 7-0. Item 12 is adjournment. Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Moved by Levy's. Do I have a second? Second by DeForest. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? with
Sure wouldn't,
6
sure
with
wouldn't.
with one abstention over there.
Might be an improvement.
We are adjourned.